Henning,
Good morning, Henning.
namaste.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you doing?
Morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, we have discussion about food. What type of food do you like?
No, this could take all day. Whole, natural, raw foods. I'm a salad eater, so there you go. Salad eating. I'm a salad eating fanatic. So there you go.
I'm like you. I really like my fresh foods, right? Just and when I'm sick, I crave them. It's really weird. Most people crave, the comfort foods, breads and pastas, which I love, but I truly crave salads. It's really kind of crazy. I'm a crazy girl though. How are you doing today, Henning?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
You're looking great too.
Yeah,
Have you guys re-entered the world there in California?
You know what? I never left the world. The world left me. I just try to keep my same routine, and hopefully people get back to their normal routines as fast as possible. But yeah, we're being as conscientious as we can to other people and situations, and but at the same time, we're encouraging people to get back into their routines and for their mental health and also for their economic lives. And I think that we have accomplished our goals here. We've continued to shoot scenes for our films. There's a movie that's just about finished. We had to finish it, and we're doing it with the small crews and in a proper way that is conscientious of the mandates and the regulations and whatnot. But at the same time, we have to carry on. And we've also been taking advantage, Kimberly, of the time at our desks at home, in our home offices, and learning to work remotely a lot more efficiently with our editing and our post-production. I think we talked about that last time. So we're just, carrying on. So.
No, and I was able to sit in on one of your meetings. I'm so impressed with Henning. It's like when he calls a Zoom meeting, it's like hundreds of people show up. It's like a red carpet event with Henning. I'm just telling you, like, you're missing out on something if you don't get to do. You should charge for your Zooms, by the way. I have more fun on your Zoom meetings. I shouldn't be ratting myself out because I don't go to my own Zoom meetings. I know Ankit's going, okay, you went to Henning's Zoom meeting? But no, you have this way of attracting your staff, your people. They love you. I've got a video. I hope you'll let me share it of when we were on the set. Ankit, can you pull that up?
There we go.
This is just one of 100 clips I have. I'm going to try to show another one, but this is one of my favorites because it shows to me the true, one of like 30 seconds of Henning, the true, like, I think you'll appreciate this one. Right. And then you can explain something in there that I love it when you explain what you're wearing. But let's see if we can you pull it up?
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
Okay.
Just having some bandwidth issues, so I'll just pull it up.
All right. And Henning, today we had a famous actor from India on our show this morning. And one of the, they all kind of just locked down. So he hasn't been acting in a while. And he's kind of missing it, I think. Because actors miss this. This is their life. And can you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm doing for Henning is I started the pre-production work in India. So once the lockdown is over, I think we can start a movie with Henning for Indian audience.
I want to film a wedding.
Yeah. Well, that's two movies, right? That's two. We got the wedding, movie, and what Ankit's got a plan.
I just want to experience the wedding. I want to experience a wedding in India. It sounds so beautiful. It just sounds amazing to me. Are you able to get it?
Yeah, just give me a minute or so.
Why there are so many movies about weddings and very few about divorces?
Oh, there's a lot about divorces.
Kramer versus Kramer.
There are?
Yeah, Kramer.
But that was a long time ago.
No, but there is a Greek wedding and there is a English wedding and French wedding. What about
War of
divorce?
the Roses.
A divorce is a divorce.
The great Greek divorce.
Nobody's excited about it.
War of the Roses, right? That's a reason not to get married. Let's see if we can pull this up. Here we go. I hope it plays. The energy that you just put on the set. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be disappointed.
No, it was working. I just.
And I've got other ones, but they weren't uploading very well this morning. But I like it when he's doing.
Henning, you able to get it?
Wedding.
There's 2 movies. That's 2. We got a wedding.
It's not playing. Let me see.
I'll just try one more time.
While he's loading that, maybe you can introduce me to Alexander properly.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Sasha is from Canada and Russia, and he is the producer of Chess Stars TV show on Saturdays, where he interviews people, world grandmasters. And Sasha, this is Henning Morales. I think you've seen him on our show before. And Henning and I met at a film festival over a year ago, and then I've been on his sets enjoying the movie scene, which was kind of interesting. Is it not that way?
You know that you said my chess, like the game chess.
Yeah. Chess,
okay.
Chess master. Right. So so oddly enough, my life not just turned into TV, but my producer that kind of talked me into doing this with him years ago is a chess master.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, I remember that. That's where it came up the first time. Yes.
Right. And but what was interesting to me is everyone we interviewed, because we interviewed all the millionaires and billionaires of the world, we got exclusives. They all played chess. That was, that caught my interest.
I have a very bad taste in my mouth about the chess world. So I'm sorry, Alexander, I can't talk to you about this because my 11-year-old son consistently beats me at chess. Well, and it's so emasculating and embarrassing. Darius, he's laughing.
Darius, he's a good chess player.
He's like I don't know how he learned it. He beats me consistently, and I'm no good at chess, but I can beat him. But no, not really.
No, not really.
Maybe he's ultra talented. Maybe
let me see if I can get it.
Help him to develop his talent.
He loves it. We play every day. We play. 1, 2, 3. And action. I said, take a look. Here we go.
Hold on.
That's the audio.
1, 2, 3.
You can hear it.
Action. I said, take a look, man. Have no fear. Take a look, man. Have no fear. Hey, on 3, 1. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Action. Action. I said, take a look, man. Have no fear. Have no fear. Take a look, man. Have no fear. Hey, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Action.
I love that action. So this was just a short clip. I filmed a lot of these. So we don't want to watch this over and over and over.
Okay.
But I filmed a lot of the little short clips because they upload faster, but Henning was always doing something. I love his speeches. I've got him teaching them how to do the Henning hop. Like after you do this, you jump up, get your energy up. And so I'm going to try to get all of those together and share them. But share the story about the shirt.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, my story, as we talked about it last time we were on, about the my journey as a teenager, going from a baseball star. Basically, that was what I loved to do. I loved to play baseball, and I had was on all the traveling teams and the all-star teams, and then by the time I got to high school, the scouts were starting to come around and check out the players and whatnot. So I was a fanatic about baseball. I played other sports, but baseball was really what my love was. Baseball. And the the shirt that I was wearing is the number 15 Thurman Munson jersey, and Thurman Munson was the catcher for the New York Yankees when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and they won the 2 championships. He was the most valuable player. He was my favorite player, and I was a catcher. And my son Darius is also a catcher, the one who consistently beats me at chess, and he's a catcher also, right? So I always wore number 15, even since I can remember. Since I was a little kid, I wore number 15. And Thurman Munson tragically was killed in a plane crash while around the same time that I injured my back and could no longer play baseball. It was around that same time. So it's for me, it was a tragic time. My hero dies in a plane crash and I can no longer play baseball. Like, so that number 15 jersey is represent. Now it ends, Alexander, and again, Ankit heard more of the story and Kimberly knows the whole story. It ends positively. I wound up meeting a group of mentors and coaches and that helped me and turned my life around. I fell into a depression after that and whatnot, but then there's a happy ending and all that good stuff. But that number 15 jersey I had those made special. I have 2 jerseys and I wore them during my first 2 days of my directorial debut. I wore 2 New York Yankees number 15 jerseys that I had made special. You can't buy them anywhere. And that was the special. We lost Kimberly. That was the special meaning behind the number 15. And I wore it the first 2 days of filming because I wanted to kind of bring back that memory of what life was like before I met my teachers and my mentors and what my life was like after. And that's the story of number 15. And the scene that she was showing, I could actually show you the final scene. I can show you the final scene. It's nice. So that scene is kind of exemplifies the motivational strategies that these guys would use, and eventually I would use to take myself to a higher level. It's the chanting and the constant positive talk that resulted in me changing my life. And in sports we get it almost. It's almost a natural part of playing sports in the United States, at least with baseball and football and basketball. Everyone gets pumped up before the game, and the coach gives a speech, and the players, cheer and chant, and that gets you into a state of a performance state, and where you can win the game. That's the idea. So that's what we were doing. What I was explaining, Kimberly, is what we were doing in that scene is sharing with the world these very secret motivational techniques that we used as teenagers to get ourselves to perform in sales. Basically, it was a sales operation, but in order to get yourself to perform at the level that you need to, we had to get into those chants and into those cheers, and that's depicted in the film Destinova. And so we gave people an inside view of what we did, and those were the actual chants. Those were the actual words that we would use, and that was actually the actual motions and movements, and the jump at the end. Kimberly coined it the Henning hop, right? At the very end, you jump up, and then everybody's pumped up. And it's funny because I was looking at the re-edit. We just remastered the whole movie for our release, our soft release in June, and our official release in September. And I been going through all those scenes and watching them, and maybe next time I can show you one of those actual edited scenes that you'll see, like you'll see the energy, and you'll feel what it was like, and we did it exactly how it was. I wanted it to be authentic, and the kid in front. It's ironic that you chose that scene, because the kid in front is my oldest son, the kid leading the chant in the movie.
Very handsome.
And yeah, well, of course. Well, what do you expect?
Oh, I mean, knock your socks off. Handsome. But gentlemen. So let me tell you, this guy is gentleman, and he likes to wear suspenders. Wowzer. The guy is a dresser. Now, on the show, in the movie, he's wearing t-shirt stuff, but in real life, this guy's a charmer. And suspenders, his dad from head to toe. Oh my gosh. It just and he's a pilot. Am I right?
Yeah, he just got his very smart. He just actually got his permit to be able to take people up. And I'm the first person he's taking up with him. I'm going next week. I'm going to go up to Utah where he is.
Oh.
So I had my son, who's not an actor by any stretch, but he was leading the chant with the kid, Ray, who's playing the young me. So I had my son on one side, and that's how the movie opens. It has my son on this side who plays Teddy, and then it has Ray Laredo, who's the actual actor, up in front leading the chant. And that's how the scene opens. And again, unless you knew the backstory, you wouldn't know what's my son and me both at the same age leading the chant. It was cool.
I think, do you believe in superstition while doing a movie or making a movie in Hollywood? Because in Bollywood, there are people who follow a lot of superstitions, especially numerology, and they plan the movie, they plan the dates, they plan the title, everything based on numerology. Do you believe in that?
I believe in that to a certain extent. I think that we all have our rituals and our feeling of when things are falling in place for us. I'm not an expert on numerology per se, or really think about it in those terms as much as other people. But I'm very meticulous about the routine and about how the set needs to be. Feeling wise, and Kimberly, this is what the feeling she's trying to maybe communicate. Things have to be a certain way, and everything has to have the right feeling. And if it doesn't feel right, then we change it until it feels right. So it's similar along those lines. I'm very superstitious with my ritual, my routine, my process. I do it exactly the same way, and I don't deviate from that. If the scene works, then we move on. If it doesn't work, I get a feeling, and then we redo it. And then later when it's time to edit, I'm like, oh man, now I know what that feeling was. And if everything it wasn't lined up, not necessarily numerologically, but if it wasn't lined up ritualistically for me, then I wouldn't feel what's off, if that makes sense. So I think that's one of the reasons that people do that. And is that they try to set things up in a way where they believe that things are going to flow properly, and then that gets them in a state of, okay, if I know things are supposed to flow properly and something's off, they're more tuned into it. So I do believe in that to a certain extent. Yeah.
So it's more about your instinct and sixth sense, which makes you decide what to do at that point of time while directing the movie, and then at the editing time you can relate what happened, and then you can redo it based on what again, getting into the actual process of directing a scene. And again, Kimberly was there on my first day. Since then I've directed many movies and many music videos, and so now I'm I'm an expert. Really good now. I'm really good, but I still haven't changed. Some of the technique has changed, but I haven't changed the way I do it. And she was there. You can see we did that take. We did every take of those chants and those cheers at least 7 or 8 times. Mm-hmm. And then people are used to being on TV sets, where my background was more television and live events. And the television and the live events, you do it once and you're done, or you do it twice and let's move on, right? You will fix it later. But with people who have been on who are more used to TV, they don't. They're like baffled. Like, why are they doing it again? Why they just got it? Why are they doing it again? Well, because we want to get this angle and that angle and this angle. And if you don't get all the right angles, then when you cut it, it doesn't feel cinematic. And so to have the movie feel, and that's the difference between a film, even though we're not filming on film, Tarantino still does. He's one of the few people that still actually uses film to film on. You're creating this digitally, but when you edit and you post produce and you include the music and the way it flows and the way it cuts, it has to have a certain rhythm. The scene almost dances. The scene dances. And when Kimberly talks about the Indian weddings, you know, my daughter, one of her favorite movies when she was little was one of the Indian movies, one of the big famous ones. I don't remember the name of it offhand. One of the big famous ones where there are a lot of dance numbers, right? And they all have dance, right? But this was one of the big ones, and she had the video and she watched it all over and over again. She loved this movie, right? And in that film, now I'm not an expert at Indian movies. I haven't watched a lot of them, but I know in that movie, because I would watch with her, the cutting back and forth is insane. If you notice that, it's like when they get in those dance numbers, they cut over here and cut over there and cut over there and cut over there. It's like somebody took a lot of time to make sure that they got all the angles in the right way to make that dance work. And these chanting scenes, and eventually I was able to direct music scenes. By this time, you know, I kind of learned how to do it through directing those chants, because it is almost a song, and how it is filmed. And so, yeah, you get a feeling of once you see all the angles, right? Okay, we're done now. Now we can move on. Where it's not anything logical, and then later when you see it, when you see your options, you see why you did it a certain way. And yeah, it's a feeling. It's not when you're in the moment, it's not a conscious like process. It's more just you're feeling if you have it or you don't have it. And then you go, and you have to trust that feeling, because you can't see everything. You can't see everything. You have to kind of take a step back and kind of feel it happen. And then if something's off, that's when you know we got to go again. Something went wrong. And if you have more time, then you can watch the, you know, what you shot, and you can go back in. And this is the difference between working with the bigger budgets and working with the lower budgets. We don't have the budget to go in and take 3 days to shoot one scene. And with the bigger budget movies, they take days, and they take a week to shoot 1 minute. Yeah. So that's the trade-off. You have to go, and you got to trust and move on.
Tell me, Henning, how do you select music for your films, and at what point you finalize your decision?
Well, thank you for asking that, Alexander. Music is a huge part of our films. In the three movies that we're releasing in the next 90 days have at least 60 songs in them. It's absolutely crazy how much music is in these movies. And a lot of times, some of the music we produce ourselves, some of the music we license, and some of the music comes from the catalog of our music director, Andrew Lane. And we're just so fortunate to have him. He's got 14 platinum records, and he's a genius music producer, and he's my very close friend, one of my closest friends in the world, right? So I'm fortunate to have that asset, right? And so sometimes when I'm writing the script, I know the music. When I'm writing the scene, I know the music, and I actually write it into the script. And I relate it to a song that I know, because I'm a big music fan, even though I'm not a musician, and I don't perform music. I'm a huge fan of music, and I'm a huge fan of all different styles of music, and that helps me also. I love classical music as much as I love heavy metal music, believe it or not. I mean, I'm talking about like heavy metal music, right? And everything in between. So when I'm writing the scene, I'll write the song that goes there and with the scene. And that happens while I'm writing it. And then while I'm shooting it, I can feel that song playing. And then by the time we get there, then Andrew and I have already talked about what actual song is going to go. We don't use the song that I was thinking of. There are reasons for that. You can't, the licensing and whatnot, but also sometimes you want to use something new. You don't want to use.
When people talking about heavy metal music, heavy metal, they mean like gold, platinum, like heavy metal? So like what it is exactly?
Heavy metal is like a heavy guitar, heavy heavy loud guitar. Heavy loud guitar, yeah.
No gold, no platinum.
No, not the gold and platinum. The heavy loud guitar. And
I see.
There's a time and place for that as well. So just to finish that thought, Alexander, is that the music happens pretty much as we're filming the scene. Then we're starting to formulate the music, and a lot of our actors are musicians. They're music artists. Some of them are pretty big, right? So when we cast for the roles, we'll also ask them to collaborate on music a lot of the times on the song, and they're singing the song in their scenes. So it becomes like the actor takes ownership of the scene, like it's their movie because it's their song and they're the actor, like it's their. And you see that a lot you'll see it in Destanova at the end when Aviva, who's a very talented actress and musician, and I wrote the lyrics to the song, and we co-wrote the Destanova song together, and she takes ownership of that. Oh, she's showing another clip here. She takes ownership of that scene like it's her own. It's her movie. And so by doing that, you create a lot more emotion that you wouldn't. Anything? You create a lot more emotion that you wouldn't have otherwise. So what are you showing here, Kimberly?
Oh, just goofing off behind the scenes, but not goofing off. I mean, you're very, very. Everyone's very serious. They take but when we have a moment for a break, I got a lot of short video clips, but. And there he is with his shirt. I've got tons and tons of photos. I haven't uploaded them all, but to kind of give you a sense of, it's all serious and work, but there's a lot of fun too. I'm sorry, keep going.
That's okay. No, it is fun. I'm glad to see those pictures that I haven't seen before. That was me basically abusing my son. That was one of the pictures where he's on the ground. I was probably threw him down on the ground. They like to wrestle. That's their big thing. So yeah, the music is a huge part, and then the songs that then once you get in editing and get in post, then you pick the rest of the songs to transition into and out of the scenes. And we do have every type of music you can think of in our movies. We have classical music, we have opera, we have classic R&B, we have hip hop music, pop music, rock and roll music. But our films are primarily, these first several films are primarily young adult audience. So you'll hear a lot of fast guitars, a lot of pop music, and the lyrics of the songs that we do ourselves. I write the lyrics, then the lyrics relate back to the story. And even some of the songs, the lyrics are pulled directly from the book that the movies are based on. And so if you're following the series, like, you appreciate the lyrics and what the actors, the characters are saying, and it's always like meaningful. Like, there's always two ways to go. I can go this way, I can go that way. Here's how I'm behaving. Here's my decision I need to make. And they're very like deep meaning. But at the same time, if you're not really into the deep meaning, you can just enjoy that it's a cool, fun song. And I'm really proud of the musicians and the music and the fact that our actors really are collaborating on making the scenes really special. And because they're the ones, they're helping to compose the music, they're performing. Sometimes they're performing in the actual movie. Sometimes the song is playing while they're acting. And so it is a really cool way to do it. And as Kimberly said, it's a very fun process, even though, like, because we have to have a certain amount of result within a certain period of time, and we're very focused on what we're doing, and there's very little goofing around, but it's a collaborative and fun process. I guess it's similar to chess. You're concentrating, you're serious, and there's no joking around. You got to focus on what you're doing, but it's fun because it
is. I still believe that chess has to be more fun. I'm not a big fan of analyzing to depth for hours to find that this movie is a little bit better than that movie. Oh my God!
That's what Darius does. You got to talk to him. He takes forever. Darius.
I just like the process. It's like when you play. Let's say you play a blackjack. Okay, so you got a hand, you won the hand, or you lost hand. That's it. The end of story. You know, like I like the process. But you know about coming back to music and movies, I'm really fascinated with many occasions the music itself, which was specifically composed for that particular movie, it sort of became, it's got life on its own. It was so beautiful, and it's so organically still part of the movie. Or if you take a movie, say, Once Upon a Time in America, you remember?
Of course.
Ennio Morricone music, and that music is, oh my God, it's so fantastic movie. I can listen to. So I remember I was watching that movie, and I didn't even watch on the screen. I was just listening to the
You're
music.
just listening.
It was so beautiful.
That's a classic with the Italian director. That was a classic.
Ennio Morricone, and also his other movies like if you remember the movie Cinema Paradiso. Remember that one, Cinema Paradiso? There's always beautiful music. Also became on its own, and
well, that's when again, and I'm glad you brought that up, Alexander. And that's one of my favorites of all time. Once Upon a Time in America is one of my favorites, and because of the creativity that you can engage in with the music. The music becomes not only a storytelling tool, but also the music, as you said, the music takes a life of its own out and leaves the movie and becomes its own thing.
I can even suggest it a little bit further. Without that music, what is this movie about? This is about Jewish gangsters.
Jewish gangsters, yeah.
What's the big deal about it? With the
Can
music.
you ever imagine a movie without the music, though, or the sounds? You know, you wouldn't have that anticipation build up. That's what music does, and it builds you. It relates. You know, it moves you.
Also, there is another very interesting example. Now we are still talking about music which was specifically composed for this specific particular movie.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you like classical music as well, and of course you probably know the music of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. Specifically, if you remember the finale of Passion by St. Matthew. Now, what's interesting about that, I was telling my daughter and my grandchildren about that, the Bach and that particular piece. And they say, yeah, okay, that's good music, but who needs this music? And whenever you can ever even hear that music. And I started to listen. That's not fair. It cannot be. And you know what? One of my favorite of all time is the movie Casino.
Casino, sure.
Yeah, with Sharon Stone. Okay, so once I was watching about a few months ago, I was watching this movie. And remember the finale of the movie when all these casinos are being all trashed and the new casinos came in town, the corporations and so on. That's where you hear St. Matthew's.
You get the, wow.
That's where it is. And it's so beautiful. And I was impressed. Oh my God, they used that music in this movie. I couldn't believe it. Yes, it was.
Yeah. You know what we should do next time, Kimberly? If you guys give me a chance to prep, I can load some scenes up for you guys and show you. We can do we can do a whole music segment and show you how we use music in these different.
Let's do it. I'm loving that idea. I didn't prep very well today. I kind of grabbed a few clips and they're just not loading very well. But
you got all the home movies.
I got you've got them all. But you've got other movies coming out, and I love this talk about music. And if you get a chance, Sasha had a wonderful musician on his show last Saturday. He does a chess show, but he has wonderful musicians that come on his show as well. So just great performers from all over the world.
We played this anthem from the musical Chess. If you
Yeah,
it's a beautiful piece of music. Yeah.
and Sasha's playing with him. So this gentleman is over in Igor is in Russia, I think, and Sasha's in Canada, and they're playing a duet. It's
coronavirus thing.
Coronavirus symphony.
Yeah.
I was playing in my house, and he was in his house, and it's all came together.
Yeah.
We have we have new words. So is there any thought about putting masks on your actors and actresses now when you are doing the scenes?
Well, this is a touchy subject. If you've been on any of my Facebook's lives, you should probably go in there. You'll see exactly how I feel about it.
Okay.
Let's put it this way. What I tell people is, and I look at this situation from a unique perspective. I have a medical. My family has a medical background. My father was a doctor. My mother was a nurse. My cousins are doctors. My sister worked in a hospital for 20 years. And I've been around medicine and health since I'm a little kid. And I have that perspective. Working, as a public speaker for all those years, and then focusing the past 5 years on youth mentorship and coaching. I work with many psychologists, psychiatrists, and my focus is more on the mental health the past several years. And so my concern is the mental strains, the mental health strains that this situation that we found ourselves in the past couple of months has caused. So I approach it from that perspective, and I tell people, hey, look, if you're sick, go see your doctor, and don't come to the set if you're sick. Okay, just don't come around. All right.
Common sense.
Yeah, it's common sense. If you're not sick, then I'm not sick. You're not sick. Then let's get back to what we are doing. If you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, then do it. There also are medical reasons for not wearing a mask, or if you wear a mask, you have to maintain a mask in a certain way for it not to become a bacteria trap. And there's negatives, and you just have to be smart. If you're going to wear a mask, wear it properly. I don't wear a mask, and I will not wear a mask because I'm not sick. I promise I'm not going to get you sick. I'm not going to sneeze on you. I'm not going to cough on you, right? And we have to, we can't. Why do people who drive cars? Why don't they wear helmets, right? I'm sure you could save lives if you were wearing a helmet, and if everyone who drive a car was wearing a helmet. You could probably save more lives if you ban cars. You can save lives, right? There's all kinds of things you could do to save lives. And I tell these stores that are, in certain places they're requiring it. And I tell them, hey, you care so much about health. Why don't you stop selling cigarettes?
CVS did. CVS. I love CVS because they did that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you, you're a pharmacy. It's supposed to be a health place of health, and you're selling cigarettes. What? And I'm not saying it's bad for CVS or anyone to sell cigarettes. I'm not saying.
But they stopped. They did, like you said, they'd be like, no, we're not going to sell this anymore. So
yeah. So my point is that if you here's a question to ask yourself. Here's a question: do you really believe in health? Do you I'm not asking, it's a rhetorical question, obviously, but this is a question that we should all be at. Do I really believe in health? And if I do, what are the things that I'm doing to maintain my health? And if I really believe in health, then I should not just care about one issue. I should have the holistic approach and care about these other things as well. And so the mental side of things, I think it's harmful for people to take things to the extreme and to get out of their routines too dramatically. And so that's how I feel. So on set, we're very, very careful. And again, you also want to be conscientious of the rules, because whether you like it or not, when there's a law implemented, then you have to be very careful to follow the rules. But at the same time, you have to speak out against things that you feel are not proper. And the way you speak out, there's ways to communicate to the health board, there's ways to communicate to the politicians. There's forums like this where you can speak your mind and people are allowed to speak freely. You encourage people, and there's things that you can do, but you have to also be careful that, that we have insurance regulations, guidelines that we need to follow when we're shooting movies. We have people's health concerns. People are concerned. We want we want to make sure that we are working within the rules, but there are certain things that we don't, we just let people kind of be smart and do their own thing. And as restrictions and regulations lighten up, we won't even really need to talk about this too much. Like common sense will prevail, but in the meantime, you can't shoot a love scene with two people wearing masks.
No, actually, I talked about that the other day. It was kind of funny. We were talking about, I mean, we're doing Zoom love scenes, and it's kind of funny. But somebody wrote a skit about falling in love on Zoom. But here's the thing: data shows everything, Henning, and this is what we talk about on the show. We're about facts, not fear. Okay, so because fear can drive so many things in the wrong way. And as you said, there's a right way to wear a mask and a wrong way. And that's one of the reasons why we've had doctors on our show share this, because there's no reason to wear it if you're not going to do it right. But fact is that Hong Kong did not shut down. They used common sense. All right. Of course, everybody says, well, they enforced it and they fined you if you, but they used common sense. They were transparent about what this is and what can happen. If you're sick, stay home. If you're sick, get tested. If you're tested positive, stay home. But they used the common sense thing. They had 4 deaths.
Wow.
December. Okay. Infectious rates were very low. Now they had a spike in the infectious rates, but they know how to manage it. They tracked it from day one. The minute somebody got sick, they traced who have you been with, and they tagged 4 deaths. Come on, people. But they never stopped operating. They went to work, all right? But they use common sense. Restaurants, 2 people at a table. If you're sick, stay home. They scanned everybody for fever, even though that's usually too late. You're usually 2 weeks in if you've got a fever because you don't show symptoms for 2 weeks. But they traced it.
Right.
So common sense, we would have never had to shut down. So I agree with you 100%. I agree.
Yeah, and you're right, Kimberly. You just have to research the facts, and a lot of times we react to things emotionally, and when you react emotionally, then you need to check that, because that can take the next level of reaction emotionally, and then you forget even what the facts were, right?
Thank you. So much common sense from you. I love it. Thank you.
I told the bubble yum story on the Facebook Live. I'll tell you guys real quick the bubble yum story. When I was in 5th grade, bubble yum came out. The bubble gum, the really soft kind. That was before then. You're chewing bubble gum was like chewing a rock, right? Yeah. And unless you were, and I was a baseball player, as you guys know. So unless you're going to chew tobacco, and I was 10 years old, 11 years old, I'm not going to chew tobacco, and I probably didn't want to chew tobacco. So you chew gum. And then there was bubblegum blowing contests. But bubblegum was a big part of baseball, believe it or not, right? And when bubble yum came out, man, this was so good because you had this soft gum and you got all these huge bubbles. And it was great. So I took my allowance, my whole allowance, my $5, and I bought a case of bubble yum. I had a big case like this, right? So I'd have plenty for me, plenty for my friends. And there was a rumor, Kimberly, that bubble yum that was going around the school, that bubble yum had spider eggs.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you ever remember that.
Yes.
There was a rumor that bubble yum, that's how it was so soft, is because it had spider eggs. And I got so freaked out, and I don't want to tell anyone that I bought a whole case of bubble yum, because I know they would all think I was going to have spider eggs coming from my ear. So I was so scared. I took my bubble yum and I threw it in the trash. I threw it away, and I never had that bubble yum. And then I found out later it was just a rumor.
Oh no!
Right. So I tell people, look, there's no spider eggs in the bubble yum. Okay. If I would have gotten the facts, I would have been able to keep my great bubble yum, no spider eggs.
But you
and Bubblicious came out. Bubblicious Grape came out, and I just went on that.
It was all before the site factchecker.com became when you can check every rumor.
They didn't have that.
We didn't have Google back then. We had Webster Dictionary that was 20 years old, and you dusted it off. But
you need encyclopedia, right? That's
right?
New version comes out.
Bubblegum was still a hard thing in there. So no, the gum was as hard as the dictionary. But, now we have.
So we have in India we have a censor board, and whenever there's a smoking scene in India or something which is not appropriate for some particular audience, we put a disclaimer on the movie right away.
Really?
We have the censor board in Hollywood as well. If something which is out of the box for that audience, then there's a disclaimer on the movie.
I don't know, do we?
Well, here's what we do, and again, I'm glad you're bringing that up because it's a topic of conversation. Our films are for young adults, and so we try to keep them PG-13, and PG-13 over here means pretty much a 13-year-old, 14-year-old. It's okay. It's not going to do any harm for them in terms of, and our films are because of language. It's not for other reasons. It's because of language. The language is harsh at times, and the reason is that we're telling historical factual stories. So if you want to be true to the facts, then you have to have that type of dialogue and that type of exposure. But in the original versions of the screenplay, there was we included things that we took out along the way, and we took in things like cigarette smoking and even alcohol use for teenagers. We took them out, and I had to give it a lot of thought because you want to keep things authentic, but at the same time, do you really need it? Do you really need it to tell the story, or are there other things that you can do creatively to show the grittiness of a situation without showing these kids smoking and drinking and doing drugs and even having sex, So we took and it was tough because you want to one of the piece of advice I had from one of my mentors, and I think you did meet Ken Levine, Kimberly, who's got,
I have photos of him, yes,
who's got 5 Emmys, and then his business partner, and he's an old school news guy, CNN type of guy that is like, he's like a stoic state figure, and he's been my mentor for 5 years since we started this project. And he and his business partner, they made sure that I learned one thing at the beginning, and they said, "Look, these stories this is your script, this is your movie, and don't let anyone change. If you're going to change something, make it something that you want to change. Don't change it because somebody else is saying this is how it needs to be. Always keep that thought process in mind. And when it came time to making adjustments based on that, and again, I had to ask myself, is this really important to tell the story? And it wasn't important to tell the story. And so, but what I did was I said, every time I eliminate something that's a sign of the times, I'm going to replace it with something else that's a sign of the times. And I had fun replacing, and the language was a lot harsher early on. The language was more Scorsese-esque or Tarantino-esque at the beginning. And then I took a lot of that language out and replaced it with unique words, some of which I just made up that sound bad and raunchy, but really aren't. So the kids can have fun with these new words. And so we did that. That's why sometimes you hear words in my movies that just don't make any sense. And it's because we switched them out, right? Yeah. And so the censors aren't going to have a problem with it. As far as the cigarette smoking, we eliminated just about all of it. There's one scene in all of these 6 movies now that we've completed. Only one scene, I think, that has anyone smoking. There are 2 scenes out of 6 movies, which is, and originally, because I was a chain smoker after I had my accident, and then I got my depression, I chain smoked cigarettes for 5 years. I chain smoked Marlboro Reds. I smoked you would not see me without a cigarette in my mouth. And I was
still smoked cigars.
I smoked cigars until my daughter made me quit cigars too. So that's a whole nother story. That was later.
I still do.
Okay. Yeah. And again, just to Ankit's point, and to the idea of the censorship situation, if you originally there was smoking, and then eventually the kid quits smoking because he gets smart. And so there's a reason he was smoking, then he stopped smoking. Yeah. It wasn't that, we tried to incorporate that. So we took all of that out because it was going to give the wrong idea to kids to start picking up cigarettes, which is the absolute worst habit that a kid could do. Well, there's worse habits, but it's pretty bad. So we took all that out. So my point in going kind of round the bend here is that for filmmakers, there are ways you have to know your audience. And we're about mentorship and consciousness and helping and making the right choices. But at the same time, we want it to be authentic, and we want the kids to think it's not soft. It's got to be real. So that's when we got creative with the language. We got creative with the cars. I said, man, let's get some cool cars in here so the kids can. You got to give them something to love. So we have all kind of really amazing cars in our movies that kids love. The style, we made the girls extra, gave them extra fashion. We made the guys extra tough and extra gritty. And so you can do things that can kind of compensate for that. And I'm also very proud that we don't have anyone you almost don't even realize it throughout the whole movie. None of these people are drinking alcohol. Mm-hmm. And so you never will see somebody. Again, there's one scene that is in the crime that the criminals are, they're drinking and they're smoking and they're doing all things, right? So, but the main characters, they never drink alcohol. Once they're a little older, maybe they're having a glass of wine or something, but they're not. It's not. Normally, you think high school movie, young adult movie, you're going to see debauchery everywhere, right? And drinking and spring break and women everywhere doing crazy things, right? Guys doing crazy things to women, and we don't have any of that. And we did that consciously because we wanted to be able to tell the story a different way, but at the same time, we really give it to the audience in other ways. So you get creative, and that helps with the creative process, and it makes the movie stand out. Like, wow, you don't realize it, but man, these kids are not. There's a party, but they're not. There's nobody with a beer funnel or the beer pong, you don't see any of that. So you're like, wow, and even in the rated R versions that are coming, the more young adult versions it's mostly for language. It's mostly for language, like because the language really punches. But we try to stay away from the things that are not necessary, that are going to give people the wrong idea. There's Ken Levine. There he is.
Why is it all messed up? It's not very good. Let's see.
It's a little wackadoodle.
Oh, wackadoodle. Why did it do that?
Our faces are mangled.
I know. That's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, so that was Ken, and so
that's Ken.
And they're actually Ken and Michael are actually the ones that said, "Man, are you writing an advertisement for Marlboro?" That's what when they read the first versions of the script, because the script called for he takes a drag of a cigarette, he put the cigarette down, he stomps it out. It was an ashtray, right? It was all over the thing because. And he said, "Do you really need that?" And then I went back and I rewrote it. So
he's really brilliant. He is and so sweet, very, very kind. I need to call him. Gosh,
you would.
Well, but he told me to. Things have been crazy. Things just kept getting crazier. But that's no reason not to call somebody who.
Yeah, he's heavily involved. He's heavily involved in all our new stuff, and we had the film festival run that kind of went sideways. He was heavily involved in that, in helping us to get the Street Chase film ready for the festivals and whatnot. So he'd appreciate a call from me. He's heavily involved with us.
And your team still stays consistent. When I was on the call, I saw a lot of people I recognized. So that's a good sign. That is a very good sign.
I have the people I have been with me for years. And Barbara's been with me for 15 years. Doc's been with me for 20 years. Jess for 10 years. I'm sorry?
Corey, no.
Yeah, Corey's since Sundance. A lot of the tribe kind of came on board at the Sundance Film Festival and's been with us ever since. So, it's having that loyal team and having loyalty to each other and everyone, doing their jobs. Here's what it makes for, Kimberly. It makes for a very collaborative process, and it makes it it makes it so easy for me to create stuff, because I can create and I can hand it off, and people get the job done. So yeah, we have our same team. That's our same producer team since the beginning on all of our films. Drew's been with me since the beginning on all the movies. He's been music director on all the films, and a lot of these actors have been with me now some of them have been with me for 3 or 4 years, because they keep coming back with different roles, and then they do a voiceover here, and we're all become friends. And so
I'll tell you where you guys got me the food. You invited me to dinner at your place. Oh my gosh.
At Sundance?
Family. Yeah. Remember when we were at Sundance?
Yeah, we were cooking here.
House, and we like the family of food. Okay. So the whole family comes in, everybody's talking, everybody grabs a skillet, somebody starts peeling potatoes, and I'm chopping up cheese and making cheese platters for
She
snacks.
was cooking too. I said, Kimberly, what are you doing? You're a guest. No, I'm cooking too.
Yeah, I mean, you just become family with Henning, right? Henning goes, who put her to work? And I'm like family. So, we're putting together cheese platters, and it's like a house full of people, and people just kept coming in, and the food just kept going out. And
we had 60 people with us. We brought 60 people with us to Sunday.
I mean, it was like I just jumped into a family. I just met Henning that day, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember that we had? I don't know, how long did we sit and talk? It was
we talked for a while at the screening. Yeah, that was cool.
And then you left your award, your bag, and I stayed an extra day, but it was beautiful. The just the family.
Yeah,
that's what I enjoyed. But Henning does things different. I'm just telling you. I've worked with directors. But Nick and I are the same way, right? We rent a house. Everybody's like a family, but not every director and producer group is like this. And trust me, I know. It's just. It doesn't happen this way.
Well,
but
at Sundance, thank you, Kimberly. At Sundance, we had 60 people there. We had 4 houses, and people were like, so it was like camping. People were sleeping in sleeping bags because people just kept coming. We didn't want to say no, don't come, right? And and it's expensive to do it. So we guys you might sleep on the floor, you sleep on the couch, you sleep on a lounge chair, and then and then every night we would cook. Every night we go to somebody's house and cook a bit. And then talk about what happened. So we do a lot of that, Kimberly. The people, and again, this is partially for Ankit, who's getting to know us, and Alexander. But we have, the way we do it, it is different, but everybody's interested in the same type of film to produce, in the same type of movie. Everyone is like on side. This is what I want to be involved with, these types of films, these types of messages. And by doing it that way, you create a tribe. And I'm so proud of the films because of that collaborative effort. You won't see anything like this on a movie screen, because all those relationships and all those assets you bring to the table, it shows on a screen. And it shows in the music, it shows in the editing, it shows in the acting, and all the people that are involved behind the scenes, to make the thing go. There's a couple scenes in Destinova where I play the motivational speaker character.
I got that.
I got to deliver. You were there for that, right?
Yeah, I got it on video. I'll get it up, or you can bring them next time.
Next time, I'll show you some clips, man. I'll show you the final ones. I'll show you the good stuff.
They're beautiful, but
yeah,
there's more love behind the scenes at Henning's place and on his sets. Then it does represent itself in the scenes, but there's more love behind. I'm just telling
you. Well, you guys have some of the clips also. Some of the shows we did, the behind the scenes shows. Then you guys have some of those. We'll get it ready for next time.
We should do a show behind the scenes with Henning, and we can have all the behind.
He sent us clips.
You guys have it. You guys have a lot of it. We have
Lynn sent them, so we just need to sit down and go over them. Things grew faster than what we could manage for a while here, but you know how that goes. So,
and Henning, I would like to know. I mean, when we talk about music is the essence of the movie, especially in India and Hollywood also. I mean, people do a lot of great music, but how important is the background music while doing a movie? Because I think background music.
The background music.
Background music, yeah.
Yeah,
How
very
important
important.
is that for a movie? Because this is different from the music you do it for songs.
Yeah. It's very important, and it goes back to what Kimberly had mentioned about the feeling and the feeling that you're giving somebody with the music, and we score very little of the music to the scenes. In other words, when you score it, you're writing it for the scene. I like to use songs that actually exist and music that exists to transition into different scenes and to set the tone for different scenes. It's like when Alexander saw the casino transition montage in the movie Casino. When there was an actual song that it wasn't scored; it was an actual song that went with the scene. So I like to do a lot of that. A lot of when you hear a song in the background, it's setting the tone for that scene, and even the transition or background music is. And again, I do it very differently. You won't see in young adult genre movies, you won't see classical jazz or hear classical jazz music or classic R&B or classical music or opera. There's a great scene, one of my favorite scenes in Rebelistic, where an opera number opens up the scene with the mobsters, and it's just shocking because you just don't expect it, but it's almost like it was written for that particular transition. And it's a song that one of Drew's artists created years ago, and I heard it, and I said, we got to use this. He says, are you sure you want to use that song? I said, watch how we do it.
Henning, you know who used music very smartly? Woody Allen.
Woody Allen,
All
of
his
course.
music,
Of
he
course.
used normally jazz standards most of the times, but they were so cleverly put into the
If you
story.
Absolutely. Look at, and again, the directors that we all admire and the movies that we admire, the music, a lot of times the music was something that you remember most from those movies. Woody Allen was a master at that. Still does.
Oh, yeah.
He's still doing great work. And Scorsese and Tarantino and Coppola from The Godfather, if you remember all The Godfather, those were scored classical. It's a different style, obviously. Those were scored and they had bigger budgets, and so it's a different style. But the way that Scorsese started to do it with the classic rock songs, and then Tarantino started with the kind of the offbeat, quirky type of songs, and bringing back a lot of the music from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Tarantino was really good at that. Woody Allen was more of the jazz, the classic jazz, and a lot of his movies do that. You know who else was great at that earlier on? Spike Lee did a fantastic job with that. Do the Right Thing, if you remember that. Mo Better Blues. The Malcolm X movie, which is a 3.5 hour. If you haven't seen that, that's like with Denzel Washington, and the music and the dance numbers. That is worthy of a Bollywood. The couple of dance numbers at the beginning of Malcolm X are worthy of Bollywood. I mean, they're elaborate. And so, yeah, music is a huge part of these films that we all love. And with the Dirt Merchants film series, we just hope that we are doing it in a way that's unique and that people really like it, and using more of a variety, but remembering our audience. We always have to give them that we always have to give these teenagers and these young adults the angst, the music that feeds their young angst and their coming of age bravado. So a lot of it is in your face. Like all of a sudden you'll hear like a really tough track, and then we'll blend it with something else so that the rest of us don't go crazy. And also give them a break. Yeah. Give their brains a break from just the one style. Get them exposed to different styles, and then you can really bring people's emotions up and down if you do it right. And hopefully, people appreciate that. That's
exciting. I can't wait. I'm gonna come watch you do another movie.
Well, let's do this. We're at our time, but here's what I would love to do. I would love to do this again, and you guys just tell me when is good, and let's show some clips, some behind the scenes clips, and let's show some from the films because we've got them ready, and it'll be a good. Get the popcorn out. Yeah, let's do a movie.
Let's do it. Let's do a movie watch.
Let's do a movie watch. I encourage you all also to be on Wednesday. We're doing we're showing a new short film, which is apropos. It's about health and it's called America Health Yeah. We're going to screen that on Wednesday at 6 p.m. California time on Zoom.
So 3 my time. Okay.
No, 6 is it's ahead your time. 6 o'clock p.m. California time.
It'd be 9 my time. Okay.
Evening, yeah. So you're all invited, and you'll see some of our music artists come on. Drew will be there, and we'll screen this film. But the next time we do it on IBM TV, let's do where we had some clips. I'll send them over to Ankit. He can load them as we talk. And if you guys want to do that, I think it's interesting. And okay, great. And definitely, Kimberly, you're going to be on set you could be on set if you're ready for Hero, which is a suicide prevention film. And that's going to be June, July. But also we're going to start Metal Crush. Then we're going to start on the next feature film in the fall. Hopefully that's our goal, starting the fall. So
I'll definitely
and then Ankit, we got to figure out what our plan is. So he's got his own plan. I got to make sure I'm up to speed with his plan for our next movie in India.
Thank you so much.
Before you go, I'll tell you, I think your lucky number is 15 because I did some numerology and I think that 15 suits you. Your name, Henning Morales, says 7 characters and then there's this character in between space, which counts 15.
Wow. Hey, thank you for looking that up. That is cool.
Yeah, so
I think we're a great team, right? We're a great team.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a calculation. I'll share it with you offline.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Ankit. Nice to meet you, Alexander. Kimberly, you're welcome.